This is the world's first and only D&D simulator that can be played entirely by an audience. Every member of Twitch chat can spawn in as a player and play every facet of the game. And what's even crazier is that I built this entire experience in 1 week. Dungeons & Dragons is everywhere. It's in video games, it's obviously in the tabletop games, it's in the air, it's in Chris Pine's smile. It's the famous tabletop role-playing game, famous for delivering amazing imaginary adventures, thrilling math-based rules, and of course, scaring parents in the 80s into thinking their kids were contacting demons. And while it's everywhere, it's arguably nowhere more present and prominent than on twitch.tv. During a big Twitch data leak last year, we actually found out that Critical Role, the D&D stream, was actually one of the highest earning Twitch channels there is. And no offense to the fine folks at Critical Role, they do amazing work, but I do have my problems with sitting in for streams. D&D can be a little bit hard to get into. If you're lucky enough to find a group and you actually vibe with the DM and the other players, you still have to deal with the greatest D&D monster of all, scheduling conflicts. However, it would be amazing if someone could create an experience where chatters could interact live with D&D. They could combine the best parts of streaming and actually playing the game. All the fun of a professional story without the feeling of sitting behind glass. But that would take time, and planning, and development skills, and 3D modeling. All of which are things I could help out with. I've made live interactive experiences on Twitch built in Unreal Engine, kind of like what you're looking at right now. And I already built a game earlier this year that turned my daily to-do list into a working RPG. If anyone could do it, it would be your very own, very eccentric VTuber developer man. So I cleared a week to be able to sit down and do just that. I announced the project on Twitter, and I set a stream date to play it at the end of the week on Friday. 1 week to compress 3 source books of the world's most beloved role-playing game with 50 years of history into a working game experience, all catered to the only ever honorable members of Twitch chat. If you'll excuse me for 1 second, I need to make a costume change. Behold! So obviously not everything was going to work super easily. D&D is a huge game. I had to get selective. I drafted this list at the beginning of the week, highlighting all of the essential pieces and functionality that I would need to build throughout the week. I knew that spawning in from chat was going to be a must, pre-built characters, and I also wanted to set up the game in phases, for character building, role-playing, and combat. I also knew that this would be a one-shot, taking place at level 1 for 3 to 4 hours. In my own experience as a DM, you don't actually need that many visuals to be able to make a good game. What mostly you need is a good story and some great friends who are all really excited to play together. I ended up spending Monday mostly just taking calls and doing business stuff. But early on, I was able to get some of the things I needed to be able to craft the experience. Physics dice were a must, and I was able to find a set pretty quickly off the asset store that I could use to get the effect that I wanted. This quickly became a strong element that I could center the game on, but would be flexible enough for everyone in chat to still be able to play. But what about the story? If there's one thing I know about D&D, is that it's all about the story. Knowing that I would be insanely pressed for time, I reached out to several D&D loving VTubers that I know who would help me create a story that would be compelling. Do you want to go?
No, I'm just listening.
I have no idea what's being created.
Let me give you an elevator pitch. A powerful archmage has a ritual for the protective magic that keeps the kingdom in relative tranquility. What he needs, however, is for many adventurers to go into the local magical forest and collect items of interest.
It'd be really funny if the wizard is just making them do his chores. I am trying to make like a drunk off your ass version of Critical Role.
I do like the MacGuffin, whatever you decide it to be.
Canonizing pants, the gemstone, the pants, and the chalice filled with
Holy water.
Holy water. Okay, holy water's good.
It's literally just a box with the text G Fuel on it.
I think that this is going to be a show. I think this is about 25 billy goats with half of a fucking car frame on it, and they're going to climb a fucking mountain. I'm excited to see it.
It is day 2. It is really late at night, and I am just finished a bunch of cool stuff. I made a generator that will actually help generate the tiles, which will make it that much easier. I decided on hex tiles. It's just visually better for a 3D project. That's it right now. I'm so tired. You'll probably see this video like first thing in the morning. Day 3 actually went really well. I think maybe I hit my stride. The way the game works is to have certain text commands available in chat for the players to be able to make different actions. I ended up making a lot of these, perhaps more than I should have. Some of y'all are tech nerds, so I got a couple of things you'd appreciate about this project. I used the same Blender skeleton across all my characters. While this is a common practice in the games industry, I also reused all the geometry so that I could just copy over form-fitting shapes. I only used one texture for all the characters using a texture atlas so that one material could cover every character I put in the game. It can take a long time to integrate materials in Unreal, and this saved me a ton of time. A voting system would be necessary for players to be able to actually make decisions. I ended up spending a good chunk of time on this, and the results looked a little weird, but this ended up being one of the core features that helped me make the game functional. This was done using UMG, Unreal Motion Graphics, Unreal system for creating user interfaces, something that I would battle with relentlessly throughout the entire production of this thing. Because D&D has so many rules about creating characters and how that applies to the game, I decided to do something a little different. I knew preset sheets would be more manageable, but I didn't want to make them from scratch, and I didn't want to do a bunch of data entry. Fast Character can do random character generation, and it can save to a bunch of different output styles, like plain text. So I was able to quickly just grab the text files and insert them into the game, and I built a string parser that would let me take all the properties out of them. At the end of day 4, things were looking good, but not quite good enough. The thing that was in the worst shape was the UI. I thought I had all that pulled together, but boy was I wrong. I wanted to create a system that would load every kind of game action into a log on the side of the screen, which would be very helpful as the DM to be able to see, but a lot of the work just wasn't there yet. This is when the 11th hour hit. Some things needed to be scrapped. I lost most of the day on trying to make a dynamic inventory system, which maybe wasn't a good idea to begin with, and finally Friday rolled around. Hey everybody, Woody here. So I just thought I'd reach out and just, look, here's the deal. It's not ready yet. It's getting there. I'm gonna postpone this thing. I think that the best experience is probably gonna happen later this weekend on Sunday. It's tutorial time! Hey you, do you want to learn how to build a D&D name generator? This one can make all sorts of sick names, like Samkiel Skyface, Miela Skyhorker, Killchuck Beef Shield, and more. Let's start by attaching a couple of pen strings. Make another one and put a dumb little space in the middle, and promote this to a variable. We're gonna make 4 string arrays. The first name can just be a combination of 2 random syllables. Ultimately, it doesn't matter what the first name is, as long as it sounds like it's from a fantasy world. Oh, but the surnames though, oh, try stuff like Sky, Iron, Silver, Fire, and then combine it with something practical, like Shield, Breather, Heart, or Monger. Let's get a random object based on how many are in the list. Now hook it up with an event and print it as a string. Look how fantasy they are. And look, we've even got errors, because programming, deep down, is a thing that we only do because we desire suffering. Losing the Friday stream was kind of a blow. With 2 more days left, I had to tie things up together and quickly. I finished up my characters and added in a couple of small features. And I'm really not proud of this, but a lot of the map art that I got for this game actually came in the same day we streamed. The overworld map code was one of the last things I made before we played.
Welcome to the stream, everybody. We really appreciate you bringing your support and your dice rolling hands to this wonderful event. Play Dungeons and Dragons as a Twitch chat member on stream live.
I had only started streaming on Twitch a couple months before this, so I was amazed at how many people came out. And it was incredible how many different features we were able to implement. I want to talk about them all, but this is already a long video. Everyone had the ability to make dice rolls, skill checks, and I created a roleplay system that would include text-to-speech if I chose. I need your help to put together the components that I need. Cablejack had one.
Yes, Archmage, it is I, Sir Guardface. I have come here to aid the people of this land and to go on a quest to make sure we are all not absolutely f***ed. It would be my honor to find the components.
Our party got off to a strong start, taking the wizard at his word and going off to seek the silvered cloth, which ended up being some trousers from a woman running a local laundromat. In typical D&D fashion, the party decided to rob her when faced with the small matter of the wizard's laundry debt. After a slight altercation with some goblins, they went to the wizard's tower, where they found his assistant transmuted into an owlbear. They collectively decided to pet said owlbear. Last but not least, they went to... Gracious, can you give me a very dwarven...
Keep Imble Brew Keep.
Which was being overrun by goblins when they found it. And finally, at last, they found the final prize. It says Dragon Fuel, but it's spelled with 2 G's and it looks super cool. After finding all 3 of the objectives, the party decided that actually what they would rather do instead of return to the wizard was to form their own society. I was really anxious that some of these things, like the clunky UI or the bloated name tags, would ruin the experience, or worse, but most people told me afterwards that the experience was amazing and they had a great time. Some people even told me this was their first time playing D&D. That makes me feel good because D&D is super fun and it's amazing to be able to share with people. And if you want to know how to create games for Twitch in Unreal Engine, I have a guide you can check out. It's a great way to get started on integrating Twitch with a game or a VTuber live avatar system like the one that I use. Link below. Someday, I think I'd like to release it as a game that other streamers could buy. If you DM a game for your stream, let me know in the comments. The word on the street is that Wizards of the Coast is actually building their own VTT. So if you guys are interested in Twitch hijinks, you guys should drop me a DM. Wizards. The game was a smash success, so in typical streamer fashion, that means we're doing it again. We're gonna have guest DMs who will bring in their stories. I'll post some announcements on Twitter as they become ready.